I'll be reading synopsis of my manga-inspired comics along with the panels, beginning with Roach Stomper. A powerfully built yet sensual middle-aged single mom waits for her only son in a crime-infested Puerto Rican ghetto in the segregated states of fascist post-America, the Bardo Barrios. Despite her impoverished background, limited education, and broken English, one gets the sense she could be something more. Her Asiatic, strong yet maternal, empathic, Virgin Mary-like features, carrier-like physique, robust hips, long, sensual, sinewy thighs, like a runner or a kickboxer, make her a true mothership. She could be confused for a wrestling diva, super athlete, or even an undercover blacklisted superheroine. She's a New Yorican, born in the Big Apple, despite spending her childhood in PR. PR as in powerful, pride, pretty. That's why her nickname is Niña Yamaguchi. Niña, combination of ninja and girl, the Spanish term for girl. Nina Yamaguchi also stands for New Yorican, as in New York, NY. I hope he gets home safe so I can kill him, she mutters to herself, while looking out her movie screen-like window at the police cars and ambulances zooming by. One gets the sense of viewing actual Skynet tech or stormtroopers from Star Wars, the Terminator franchise, Matrix, etc., if it weren't for the police and paramilitary logos like Special Urban Security Procedures, SUSP, as in suspect, SUSP. Everything is literally in black and white. The futurist ninja police uniforms, their armored vehicles, the pitch dark sky, the barren blank white cell-like walls of her roach and rat-infested apartment, and the pale rosacea afflicted soldiers lack her paradise yellow tan complexion. Other than the small brown contaminated pests, everything else fertile is brown. Her finely polished furniture, wooden floors, pine saw, not disregarding the very bloody, stylishly dressed Latinos being roughed up outside and on TV. She's watching TV of crime shows while witnessing all these random searches outside. This precedes what happened last summer with the protests for the George Floyd thing, where all these paramilitary vehicles were going through my city, and these soldiers everywhere, like something out of a movie, partial martial law. Back to the story. She remains oblivious to the horrors and questionable injustices while switching through the TV as if calming her nerves. Nothing but bad news about war, crime, plagues are glimpsed with some scenes of middle Americans experiencing the very horrors their police state is inflicting on undesirables, from slimy, big-nosed aliens or hooded, masked serial killers. So they're experiencing simulated horrors of what they project onto the invisible people right in the inner city. It's curious how alien rays resembled the inhuman eyewitness sketches of Asiatic Latino criminal suspects, more often minorities, on news shows. She watches her favorite show, Sábado Gigante. She always enjoyed the variety show with her son, as if its multimedia format was more a blueprint for diversity and multimedia in the cultural melting pot that is the Americas, variety shows. Some Pentecostal Christians knock on her door, asking in Spanish if she's received Jesus as her Lord and Savior. She coolly answers, I believe in myself, not in old white bearded men. These white patriots came in different forms, from her corporate boss at International Cleaners to the psychiatrist who misdiagnosed her son's multi-cognitive sense, also undermined as neurodiversity, as a disability rather than identifying it as endless probabilities for learning. Now her main man is doing research at Harvard and MIT ever since he met some broad-minded interdisciplinary cognitive scientists from various backgrounds and ethnicities. They were curious about the boundless, integrating potential of the mind. He's a human quantum computer in terms of his transcendent, super mind-mapping visionary art, applicable to many fields and perspectives in these rapidly changing times. But she always believed in him because he believed in himself and vice versa. Roaches constantly cross her borders into her kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, and everywhere else. She springs up like a catcher and charges like a sprinter, covering much ground with her long muscular thighs and ankles and whatever. Her bug swatting hints at higher skills like martial arts strikes and flurries. Each time she kills a roach, she has inexplicable flashbacks. She sees herself as a sexy figure skater with an attitude, a misunderstood snob, a champion, also as a champion kickboxer, track and field star, all-star baseball catcher, a stylish, sexy, radical anchorwoman, underground, subversive pop singer, showing off her $1 billion up-to-the-heaven thighs in short shorts, mini skirts, schoolgirl skirts, etc., and ethnicities bordering the Latina, Asiatic, and others. You would think that somehow from some future she inspired all these trends that you see in Harajuku and anime and, girls with all these, shorts and girls in glasses and tattoos and I've been rendering this a goddess mother for years and years with these features. Don't you usually stop daydreaming when you're young, however? But the roaches and rats get bigger. Not all of them are brown either. Many of the roaches started off as white maggot-like bugs. Some of them are almost as tall as her and have tentacles, spikes, and armor, like vermin, incorporating our memes and biocultural data into their evolution. The body armor of knights, samurais, and soldiers, possibly inspired by deadly nature, has returned and distorted the source, the evolutionary source, encouraging unnatural aspects of natural selection, whatever it is, if it even exists or can. Now her second floor home is invaded by super vermin, or super Germans, mutations of modern military organic sphere from which it descends in parts or can be replicated via synthetic memory. Super vermin Germans in the sense of upgraded Nazi cyborgs. The roaches, it's no longer roaches or slimy creatures, but cyborgs and machines and super soldiers. But they're still cucarachas to her. What can be a multicultural, super diverse revolution is now entangled and contaminated by its own mal-developed cures. What's a dragon, god, alien, demon, alien anymore? They all have ray guns, pincers, claws, fangs, infrared cameras, and smart weaponry. Not even John Carpenter's The Thing has exclusive anonymity or parasitic autonomy in this overflowing gene pool. Mutation of the gene pool. But she rises to the challenge, taking out her thick black belt which she used to spank her son into a fit, well-chiseled young man, before he was young and soft. She also takes out her heaviest slippers, ready to meet all comers because they're all cucarachas to her, no matter how evolved or high-tech. She was the most feared person in the Bardo barrio. Even the gangs didn't mess with her or her son. This red bandana sporting mommy, independent of any notions of Rosie the Riveter, who she was more gangster than gangster. Her serpentine, coiling belt has a life of its own, encoding many weaponry, from swords to spears to bullets, lasers, tentacles. She simultaneously deflects and counters all assaults, like her writhing, fluctuating belt. Their tentacles, claws, lasers, cannons, etc. are but single fated strokes. Blood, guts, and slime and metal parts ooze like bursted paint tubes as she whips, stomps, and crushes one mutant and cyborg after the other. A towering mecha with drills, spikes, and guns jutting out from all over appears before her, the enforcer of the boards. She laughs womaniacally. You look ridiculous with all those utensils sticking out. After I break you apart, I'll give you to my son as a birthday present. I don't know why he's so impressed with characters like you, considering his collection of G.I. Joe characters and soldiers and Hollywood type, creations. And comic book characters and manga characters, anime. But it retreats from something akin to shame and humiliation after hearing her insult. She inspects a gaping crevice behind her fridge. That's where they're coming from. She moves the sturdy antique fridge, which usually required many men, and descends down into the pit of the abyss. She straps her big machete across her back. Girls weren't allowed to cut down foliage back in PR, Puerto Rico, Richport, Puerto Rico, under the Bermuda Triangle. But she could slash them away better than any of the guys. Was she some samurai in another life? Ninja Yamaguchi? She finds an underground base deep in the labyrinthine hollow earth-like caverns. She sees scientists and military personnel create these monstrosities in their labs, including secret weapons and chemicals. They also manifest these entities through Hadron Collider-like 3D printers, a modern version of wizards and alchemists conjuring spirits and elixirs in the form of these simulated holograms and enhanced genetic mutations. She also notices an oracle-like hologram projected by quantum computers. She senses that they can compute codes and equations based on their synthetic interpretation of something she has more of an organic access to via her mind and spirit. Something unseen yet felt. Perhaps this virtual unified field doesn't exist yet, or in the way we think. They use these codes to sever everything off from the symbiotic and engineer the totalitarian technology and artificial life forms, while she creates electromagnetic turbulences, portals, with her naturalistic she-like movements. The sum total of her daily actions like cleaning, gardening, arranging, which encode higher mathematical clues in themselves. Though myopic, bespectacled, her heightened perception, her third eye, enables her to affect the hypersensitive sentient atmosphere. Seemingly dead ends extend like scenes in a dream. Maybe this is why she's so strong, beyond the constraints of gravity and evolution. She sees many realities intersect here in the space of spaces, or vacuum-like void that releases spheres of all types and atmospheres. She finds herself in a scene from West Side Story, a movie she despises. It's when the Jets are mocking Rita Moreno's character, baiting her like a bull. Rita runs away crying. They notice Mommy glaring at them through the street-cast shadows, like a ninja. You want to play too? They taunt. I don't know, Jack. This lady's kind of big. Something don't look right about her. They wave the red flag, yelling Toro, while she tightens her crimson bandana, pulling out her machete. She cuts off their thighs at the waist when she charges. La cucaracha ya no puede caminar, she snickers. Okay. She stumbles upon the ruins of an advanced civilization. It doesn't look ancient, but out of time nonetheless. Perhaps a probable future, considering its supersymmetrical architecture, mathematical holographic hieroglyphics, changing by the perspective and moment, and titanic statues. The tallest one is a long-thighed, muscular, Amazon-like goddess with 4 eyes, eyes which can see painted over the eyelids of her blinded ones. She has a bronze tan, is carrying a shape-shifting sword, a multi-dimensional sword which can extend, galaxies, light years, and is sporting a heavenly satin miniskirt, an idealized version of a short Japanese schoolgirl skirt or retro running skirts, with interchangeable hieroglyphics blowing in its folds. So this goes beyond sexual fetishes. So fetishes had an original spiritual connotation. The ridges of her miniskirt have sacred texts, and they also can become blades. She seems more sensually powerful and sacred than sexy, as if pop culture has perverted fetishes, which again originally had spiritual connotations. She suddenly understands everything. She's a light being suffering from future amnesia, in the sense that she was discouraged to know her goddess potential on the phantom quantum level. She's real, yet does not exist yet, along with her Earth-Sun kindred, her starseed. She's really a cyborg, not a cyborg. Cyborg as in psychedelic. A Pinocchio-like entity residing in a psychedelic simulation of Earth. Astronomers, visionaries, seers, and world leaders have a limited understanding of the very cosmic mind which everyone simultaneously conceives and is recreated by. The implications for peace, harmony, and democracy are far greater than the immediate ones of tyranny, fear, or notions of unredeemable human nature. Dominant world culture has used this limited, diluted knowledge to both create and host great yet unstable civilizations and cultures via constant warfare and culture struggles. The marginalized lower class whites, racial minorities, or those either not considered worthy or considered worthy are expendable by a hyper-exploitative parasitic system. All outsiders unite in this sense, no matter of race, color, whatever. Ghettoized like she and her son. Hence, a fuller understanding of this oracle-like info pool via democracy allows for humans to outgrow their genetic predispositions to playing social roles in a game of self-consenting genocide. We're all cucarachas on some level, she mutters to herself. They interfered with nature and gave the roaches no choice but to seek refuge in this shitty infrastructure. We were interfering on their space, and they had no choice but to come up. Not unlike my people in most of the world, or so-called illegal immigrants displaced by globalist policies in a hypocritical way. Cucarachas of the world unite, she laughs. She's liberated enough to follow her free will once she realizes how rigged the game is. She's liberated enough to follow her free will once she realizes how rigged the game is, how the rules are meant to be rewritten beyond the discernment of overlords. She also realizes how her son's life work is making the oracle more tangible to even the tyrants, beyond the MK Ultra level, hence sending out their independent researchers to work with him, a kind of positive secret agent beyond them. Or maybe they are doing MK Ultra, but the twist will be on them. And her love and support helped. As she's about to fight even more monsters, she hears him calling, "Mommy!" She climbs up the hill, entering a swirling mist which suddenly appeared, adhering to some graceful mopping motions she executed earlier in the day. She was determined to whoop his ass for coming home so late after giving him the biggest hug. End of that hypnosis. I am now reading a hypnosis of my manga-inspired comic, Hater Skater. Hell has frozen over due to the coldness, inhumanity, and insensitivity of the climate. But the citizens of Happy Land remained deluded, renaming it Christmasland instead, or Snowland. It's always the holidays here is their logo, despite the threat of crumbling glaciers, snowstorms, avalanches, and other climate changes. The well-lit, colorful retro metro paradise, a surreal cartoon-like amalgamation of history's finest castles, skyscrapers, towns, and other wonders, a kind of Tokyo Disneyland, and New York City is enclosed inside giant igloos. So people still enjoy life's dwindling delights despite the constant threat of gentrification even to those in privilege. This can happen if they don't keep producing and proving their worth. The weaker stock have long been eradicated from their society. Winter sports are among the few ways to make it here because of this unnatural climate change. Men are encouraged to play ice hockey, to ski, bobsled, and almost every gal's dream is to be a figure skater. Their art has been limited to ice sculpture, and their entertainment, pop culture, TV, books focuses on self-hating humor, gossip, and the trivialization of life's daunting challenges under the false consciousness of life's too serious to be taken seriously. So fly until you die. However, extreme entertainment like horror movies, pornography, violent sports like football, boxing, and the MMA have been abolished, not providing borderline psychopaths or paths of the psyche healthy outlets, compelling them to either fight unending wars against the unknown enemies who forever threaten Christmasland or Snowland, or they participate in hyper competitive education, business, shallow dispiriting pop entertainment, and nihilistic dehumanizing high culture art. Hater Skater, a young aspiring figure skater auditions. Though statuesque, athletic, strong and long-thighed, sensually muscular yet lean, a border racial Asian Latina hinting at a more archetypal yet forgotten sensuality and femininity, and more diverse yet familiar future beauty than a commodified one. But something about her penetrating, Medusa-like dark eyes, abrupt mannerisms, and slashing body movements unnerves the judges. How do you market, exploit this kind of beauty and femininity? She once had the crazy dream of being a performance martial artist. She imagined that she'd create obstacles that were tougher than well-matched opponents, yet non-judgmental, even if you didn't always conquer them. A poetic, awe-inspiring display of power, athleticism, and grace, not unlike the hurling of atlas stones and other live dead weights by the old-time strongmen competitors. But how would she create these obstacles and virtual challengers? Since no one encouraged her, she forgot her dream years ago, just like her true name. Maybe she never knew it since she was she. Maybe she never knew her true name since she didn't forge her identity, constantly being called hater skater. She has the elegance, femininity, and beauty of a figure skater in terms of her sensual traps and long muscular neck. The type that a vampire would love to suck, but his fangs would probably crack because it's so tough. But she didn't have the moves, the coolness and aura, or the poise. She slashes across the rink before the judges, showering them with ice. She's a fighter, not a dancer. They ask her what school she graduated from. HS school, as in hate. High school, hate school. She sneers in response to their belittling comments and baffled expressions. You're cut, they snarl back, asking her to leave. How can I get cut if they don't think I'm cut out in the first place? She snickers to herself. And that's another thing. Why do they say you're fired? I always feel like people are attacking me with their words. She sees no options in the society which says you can be anything you want. She skates away with her backpack, refusing to take off her uniform and crown. She finds abundant resources and fertile soil beyond the glaciers. It's much warmer here, and the prehistoric mammals and ice saurians don't bother you if you don't bother them. Despite failing in school, she proves to be quite innovative, creating igloos which would be the envy of any architect and engineer. Igloos which merge with the environment so much that they seem to be an underground city or cavern. She's adept at forging. She's adept at welding. Sorry. This golden yellow melanin complexioned, as in mellow, beauty created her own Olympic medal, metin. It's more precious than gold, silver, or any jewel. But she creates hand blades from her many skates. She now has an arsenal of weapons and tools, like ski swords, shuriken pucks, goalie armor and masks, and so on. She paints her face a clownish white in an inhuman attempt to look more Caucasian, as many of her Asian sisters or relatives, because she also has Latina, insist is the highest ideal of beauty, forsaken her smooth butter complexion for the porcelain look. The government sends hockey player samurai super soldiers after her because she protects the animals and local resources. Those are my animals, don't touch them, she shouts. Her tribal warrior nurturing goddess presence threatens their profit-driven economy. Hence their corporate greed and her bloodthirst cannot be quenched. but their high-tech weapons are no match for her swooshing circular moves and helicopter-like blizzard flurries of blades. Her organic connection to nature, supernature, makes her invulnerable and self-regenerating like Mother Supernature itself. She's instantly healed even when suffering the worst wounds, while dispatching AI super soldiers because they have no spirit. She intimidates the most fearsome adversaries after putting her eyeballs back in after being gouged out by demons. They gouged out her eyes, but she puts them right back in like nothing. If the devil pokes out your eyes, just pop them back in. Easier done than said, she remarks. How do you terrorize someone like this? But she dismembers and beheads them. Not so easy to put those back on. Once a computer breaks, the game is always over, she taunts. Guess what? Guess what? Is also her childlike trademark response to a challenge, along with I didn't make the cut as a skater. Now I make the final cut. So guess what? I didn't make the cut as a skater. Now I make the final cut. She spends her time creating ice sculptures, a virtual paradise inhabited by snowfolks. At least my people have more life than the supposed real ones, she snickers while talking to them, like a gardener showing her plants love. The government tries to break her morale by firebombing her goddess creation with super smart napalm bombs combined with atom bombs. They bomb her goddess creation since they can't conquer her any other way. Their superheated smart bombs leave her city smoldering like the mouth of a volcano. But she waits until the flames blow away and rebuilds an even sturdier world. They go back and forth until her sparkling, gleaming city is impregnable. Thank you for helping me create something eternal and even more beautiful than me, she taunts. You all hate me because I'm beautiful, but I hate you because you're pitiful. You all hate me because I'm beautiful, but I hate you because you're pitiful. Her ruby-like citadel and luminescent inhabitants resemble the very heavens envisioned by their fascistic visionaries, a paradise they try to replicate through the exploitation of world culture and all resources. That's why they could never get it right with their might. The climate is changing. The caps are melting into lake beds that can stabilize, though the militarists and techno-nihilists, ironic how that rhymes, think hell is going to melt and drown everyone. This disaster is also a revolutionary opportunity. Cosmic rays have been tracking hater skaters' movements. So I wrote this in 2018 before things are kind of piling up. These technologies are recording her steady, fluid, intertwining movements beyond the calculation of high-tech surveillance cameras. Cosmic rays have been tracking hater skaters' movements, recording her steady, fluid, intertwining movements beyond the calculation of high-tech surveillance cameras. Her harmonious roots among the chaotic cycles paves the way for self-correcting rays from the beyond. In dark matter and other untapped arrested evolutionary catalysts by way of the Big Bang and other mysterious catalysts. Her lands are suddenly lush and teeming with life after nourishing tropical rainstorms and catalyzing meteor showers. Even the carnivores are evolving. The wildlife is starting to get along since vitamin-like minerals are formed from the changing climate, discouraging competition, parasitism, and carnivorism. The government, in desperation for dwindling food supplies and internal pressures presented by collapsing economies, mass layoffs, civil war, strikes, and class warfare gambles everything on the ultimate super soldier, obvious ninja. Their divinely inspired, mega technologically engineered savior, obvious ninja, is their ultimate savior. This isn't his name, but Hater Skater recognizes him as so in such a stealthy era where no one could be trusted. Hence the inevitability and predictability of chaos. Obvious Ninja is the ultimate espionage mecca, part ninja super soldier, part stealth fighter with a submarine for a ninja sword sheath. So why couldn't someone create some dialogue between two powerful foes in the hope of sharing their knowledge, while both sides internalize their role? Snowland believed it was the highest, most noble civilization, as in lies, while Hater Skater thought she was an unredeemable psychopath. She loved being bad since she believed pathology inducing societies were the ones that were unredeemable. They couldn't stop playing the game. Maybe there weren't enough intermediaries in the independent activists to bridge the two powers, but her side was growing more fertile, while the other was becoming futile. Her side was becoming more fertile, while the other was becoming more futile. On one peaceful night, a young aspiring fighter smashed away at her snow, more in great distress than rage, under the midnight sun, the polar sun. His acid tears seethed. She's curious and concerned for once, not viewing him as a threat. She simply asks, "What are you doing and what's wrong?" He tells her that he's practicing his own fighting style, paradoxing. She rolls her eyes in true snob fashion. Paradoxing, whatever. But her supposed snobbishness has a hint of maternal compassion. Her supposed snobbishness has a hint of maternal compassion, like saying, "Get over yourself because you're better than that." He's frustrated that everyone thinks he's a pretender. They say he's not a true martial artist, despite losing weight on his own. Reverse own and you get one, and forging a natural Spartan warrior physique. He's pretty explosive and unorthodox, despite his untested theories. He's come a long way from his uncoordinated stumblebum days, he tells her. She assures him, telling him to be proud of his modest yet empowering accomplishments. "You're no stumblebum, you're a stumble upon bum," she laughs while stroking his head. That might be better than being champ in some ways. She advises him to keep doing what he's doing, because he's fortunate to have such a unique passion. "I should know," she says. "I created my own style too, power figure skating." His tears dry up as she says, "Come to mama," hugging him. Their embrace causes her to feel an unusual feeling, warmth. He's healed and thanks her, asking if she's some guardian angel. She laughs. "Me, an angel? But I might be your scary godmama." "Show him what you got," she laughs womaniacally and skates off. She sees bat-like shadows shift throughout the polar caverns, like a shape-shifting stealth fighter, feeling invisible blades rake her from behind. There's no assailant there every time she spins around to retaliate. She's covered from head to toe in cuts within moments as she frantically swooshes away at the shadow, which expands and shrinks from inches to feet to yards and miles and so on, according to the mountains, hills, terrain. She hears the shadow taunt from a mile away against a hill. "Not even you, hater skater, can track my moves, for I'm of the very elements which became all machines. I'm comprised of all minerals. I've returned with more memory, so I know what you're going to do before you were ever conceived. I know what you're going to do before you were ever conceived. She stares at him like a dumbfounded child, not ready for such rough house play. Was she finally stumped? She could go toe to toe with the strongest mutant hockey players and slay demons, but how do you eradicate a spirit hologram or virtual devil? But she remained cool. Guess what? Something came off you. Obvious Ninja materialized and looked down at his side, feeling himself come apart piecemeally, like sheet in a paper cutter. He seemed to think, how did she do that? As he crumbled down into a neat pile of smaller pieces, like like pieces of origami paper cut down to nothingness. She had stopped time perception on the subatomic level, becoming a quantum giant. This super perspective enabled her to see the origins of even unforeseen things like big bangs, predeterminism, and all theories, quantum entanglements, and the darkening of matter. How did she gain this perspective? Paradoxing, motherfucker, she yelled at an unseen witness, or witnesses. And her starseed thanked his scary godmama as she thanked him for giving him this idea. There are rumors that Time Puerto-Rican, Atomius Ken, Face Scar, among many names, paradoxing champion of the cosmos, hallucinated that he met his divine muse, his scary godmama, or maternal personification of the parental cosmos which spores to give us a personal identity from the future. So, conceptual daughter or son can become the parent in the future. He met her in this area known as Ninada, named after Ninja Yamaguchi, which may or may not exist now. They say Ninada, close to Nippon, and Ninya, which is close to ninja, is the world's healthiest, most democratic. They say Ninada, the world's most healthiest, most democratic nation, used to be a desolate region during the ice ages, which paleontologists debate ever happened. They doubt its existence, like Atlantis and other lost civilizations, or Lemuria. How could such a cold, barren area existed unless how could such a cold, barren area existed here unless there was some miraculous climate healing or divine intervention? Were things that bad before? Could they be almost be as apocalyptic now, or better yet, is paradise within our most affectionate grasping and highest yearnings? Finally, I'll be reading Hypnosis of the Ascending Angel. The gods experience so much pleasure and indulgence that they don't realize how miserable they are. They're so glamorous, attractive, and cultured that they don't realize how dispirited and ugly they are, or deformed, spiritually deformed. It's difficult to describe their world in human terms, but imagine the ultimate in-crowd culture, the ultimate in-crowd culture, comprised of the coolest celebrities, most beautiful supermodels, strongest athletes and warriors, and most eloquent intellectuals. Their world is a surreal anime-like conglomeration of Upper Manhattan, Hollywood, Beverly Hills, the Las Vegas Strip, Newbury Street, the hotspots of Seoul, Tokyo, ancient Rome, Atlantis, and other cultural centers from times immemorial and eternal. Unlike their mortal counterparts, their debates don't focus on improving society. Well, not that the mortals do either, but on how individuals can become cooler, stronger, faster, and more clever. Super geniuses constantly invent mecha like technologies and virtual worlds. Athletes participate in ever more extreme Olympics, and goddesses elevate their beauty standards beyond what can be recognized as attractive anymore. So their eye for beauty has literally made anything ugly. They lost their taste for nuance and subtlety. They experience so much ecstasy that they become numb to anything greater and healthier. The gods limit their dialogue to sophisticated expressions of the following notions: nobility, coolness, hotness, and genius. So their criticism and standards rise to another level of shame and condemnations. Your pretty isn't the same as mine. Your strong isn't the same. Intellect, etc. These cutthroat, hyper-competitive, psychopathic, and sociopathic entities, in our terminology, might as well say you're still ugly, stupid, and retarded compared to me or us. No one listened to the few dissenting gods, that we must humble ourselves despite our great gifts. Then it happened. Everyone went blind. The classy, glassy, pristine reality shattered, puncturing out their eyes, spiritual eyes. Beauty and prestige became irrelevant, but one young goddess in training, ninja, combination of Spanish term for girl, niña and ninja, and Nina, remained calm despite her wounds. She was no less ruthless and ambitious than her shaming peers, who in actuality feared her potential. But something called her, something no god or galactic overlord can teach. Most importantly, her snobbish sister feared that their so-called fellow ultra-sociopath and malignant narcissist might change into something loving, maternal. What was her potential power? She invented an interdimensional sword that she theorized could subdue any attack before any thought. A kind of unified field of pure shape-shifting weaponry. So a blade could literally become a UFO-shaped shuriken or ninja star, going out into miles. Its design was based on an all-enveloping field of fluctuating supersymmetries. Unfortunately, most gods panic from their blindness, which could have encouraged them to truly internalize each other beyond beauty and appearance. Most remain in limbo, but Ninja can still see the honey man in her mind's eye, despite being blind. Her imaginary, her love, really, her imaginary love, beyond any romantic notions of lover or anything like that, just pure love. He guides her to another realm, which her overseers insisted didn't exist. He telecommunicates to her via her deepest intuitions that she can only see again if she finds her fourth eye. So in the meantime, her eyes are white, but she paints snake eyes, cat eyes over her seared eyelids, so she intimidates adversaries. So she has white eyes that are blind, but her eyelids are flashing like these spooky red cat eyes. She learns that the gods have grown out of control because she learns from him that the gods have grown out of control because they lost their contact with their human kindreds and starseeds, the stabilizing powers of the higher powers. Just like most people don't believe in gods, the gods don't believe in mortals. It went both ways. She learns that she has a starseed or earth son. Her starseed is named Honeyman, a shimmering golden bronze toy-like muscle man who appears in both her daydreams and sleeping dreams. She enters the abundant paradise beyond the smog and is immediately attacked by the half-crazed gods who migrated there. They have new camera-like infrared eyes that allows them to see to degrees. The reddish blue like flashing blue like flashing police lights, the eyes of these Aryan mutants. But she cuts down any assailant before thought. So it ends with her finding her true power because her Earth starseed communicates to her that just like she has the potential to be the ultimate destroyer, she could be the ultimate healer. So she simply converts her superpower, her unified sword, her unified field of shifting swords into a new utopia, which rebuilds everything into their highest forms. And she even reincarnates those who she slayed into their highest, healthiest versions, multi-versions or uni-versions. Okay, thank you. I shall read this story in its entirety one day, hopefully.